Jane Nielsen.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We are in studio live today with a very special guest, and she brought along her family, but unfortunately we'll have to play with the little baby later. We have Bridgit Pollpeter in the office today. She is a stay-at-home mom and working on her master's degree, and she's the president of the Omaha chapter of the National Federation of the Blind, NFB. Did I say that all right?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I am learning so much in my position here and so excited to learn more. So, Bridgit, welcome to Radio Talking Books Community Conversation Program.
Thank you for having me.
We're very pleased to have you. I always tell our guests that we are guests in our listeners' living rooms, and so I like them to know a little bit about our guests. So if you would tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, where you were born and raised, your family, education, anything you think would be fun and interesting.
Oh boy, fun and interesting. Okay. Well, I was born in Omaha. I am a Omahaan, but my family moved around a lot when I was a kid. Some small towns, and one of my sisters was actually born in Iowa, unfortunately. But
we do have Iowegians out there.
I have friends who say I have a mixed marriage because my husband is from Iowa and he is a Hawkeye. So
that's my situation, Bridgit.
Oh yes. So our kids are Huskers and Hawkeyes.
Yes.
But yeah, so I have two sisters and one brother, and I am the oldest. And we did a lot of moving around, but we've been back in the Omaha area, since I was a teenager. So about 20 years. My background actually is in theater and performance, and I got a degree in vocal performance from Grace University in Omaha after I graduated from college. From high school. And then when I was 22, I got a viral infection, and that's what caused me to lose my sight. So I've been a type 1 diabetic since I was 4, and so the infection really compromised my diabetes, and my parents were told to prepare for the worst. Antibiotics weren't working at first, and it's all very hazy to me. I don't recall a lot of the time I was so sick. But yeah, eventually, I got better, and, my body started working again. But one result was I started losing my vision. And so about a year later, I essentially lost all my sight. I just have light perception. And I was hooked up with at the time my parents were living in Iowa, and I was with them. So I was hooked up with the Iowa Department for the Blind, and I went there and started training in non-visual skills, and that's where I met my husband. I always say we need a sexier story for how we met. But yes, we met there, and we were engaged in about 2.5 months. Very quick. Typically, I'm very skeptical of things like that. But 9 months later, married, and we just on January 1st celebrated our 12-year anniversary. So
congratulations!
We have 2 little boys, a 5-year-old and 1-year-old, Declan and Duncan. And Duncan is the baby here today, the 1-year-old. So, and I went back to school in my late 20s and studied creative writing at UNO. And when my oldest started preschool, I had been a stay-at-home mom, and I thought, well, what's Mommy going to do now that there's not a kid here all day? And I said, well, it was always my goal to go back and get my master's, so I applied to programs, and I was accepted into the MFA, the Master of Fine Arts in Writing, at UNO. And so I started that program. My emphasis is creative nonfiction, so sort of memoir and personal essay style writing. I used to do blogging for the World Herald, for their Live Well Nebraska website, and then my blogs were frequently featured in the Herald itself. So that was exciting, but then my oldest, when he was born, had a lot of health complications, and so I stepped down from doing that so I could kind of focus on his health and well-being. But yeah, so now I'm back in school, and took a year off because I had another baby. Thought it would just be 1 semester, but after the baby was born, I said I might need a little bit more time off. So just started back this semester, and we will see how it goes with a baby and being in school, but so far it's going pretty good, yeah. So, but I got connected with the National Federation of the Blind when I was in training in Iowa. I met a lot of federationists, just living in Iowa at the time, and also who were working for the department. And then when my husband and I moved back to Omaha, we got connected with the NFB here and joined the Omaha chapter. And we pretty quickly, I think within a year of first joining the Omaha chapter, we became, were elected to leadership positions in the chapter. So we have served in various capacities. I've been first VP, I've been secretary, and now I am serving as president. It's been a couple, 3-4 years. I don't even know now how long I've been president. That's not good. I have kids, so everything just sort of slides together in my memory. But yeah, and we also serve. So the NFB has a national representation. Then we have state affiliates, and then our local chapters. So I'm also involved with the state affiliate. I'm on the state board as well. And yeah, we do some really fun outreach in local chapters as well as with our affiliate, and just trying to promote and educate about blindness and what blind people are doing, and maybe some of the issues that we face, such as right now we're working on getting legislation for accessible technology, ensuring that as technology develops, it is made accessible for those who need it. Different things like that. We do advocacy. We kind of work both with blind people as well as the general public, and just education. So, and we actually, our first Omaha chapter meeting will be tomorrow at the Swanson Library on 90th and Dodge. We meet at 9 in the morning. So yeah, if any listeners are interested and would like to attend, it'll be our first meeting of 2018. Okay. So yeah.
How often do you meet, the local chapter?
Yes, the local chapter meets once a month, which is every third Saturday of the month.
And how long are your meetings?
They're 2 hours. We meet from 9 to 11.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know one of the issues facing the blind community and the low vision community is transportation.
Yes.
So is that an issue on Saturdays for folks or not?
It can be. It can be. We used to meet Thursday nights, and we've had a few different locations that we met at over the years. Some have been more centrally located than others. The last few years, we really decided that we need a central location to make it, as easy as possible for people to attend meetings. So we had been meeting at UNO, but now we've switched to the Swanson Library on 90th and Dodge, which is pretty centrally located, almost as centrally located as you can get in Omaha. It is busable. So if there are people who would like to take the bus, that was another thing. Thursday nights, you could take a bus, but you probably weren't going to be able to take a bus home. So now that we meet in the mornings, if you want to take the bus, that is an option. For those who use it, we do have Uber and Lyft available, which is nice. And I will say having kids is a very nice transportation option, especially during the cold months. But yeah, it is. It is, as anybody who is blind and visually impaired knows, transportation can a lot of times be one of our number one issues. Getting somewhere, is not always easy. Like I mentioned, we do have like Lyft and Uber, but, for everybody that's not a feasible option, nor is the bus. So, a lot of times, I'll just be like, oh man, if I could just drive right now, it would just make my life so much more convenient. And, we keep hearing about the self-driving cars, but that's still in the horizon for the time being. So, but, it is an issue. We have, our membership, ebbs and flows a lot, and a lot of times it is based on transportation. If you have a friend or family member who can get you there, but sometimes that doesn't always work. They have things going on too. So it is an unfortunate thing that I think we just in the blind community have to deal with is the transportation. And the NFB does get involved with, transportation things, around the state and in our cities, and, working on, how can we make it better. And, it certainly is a topic that we, are engaged in the community.
I imagine with a national organization, are there cities then that are much better at the transportation piece than others?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, for sure. I mean, our national headquarters is in Baltimore, and I've never been there, but from what I understand, they have a fantastic public transit. So that makes it a lot easier, to get to and from meetings. Anybody who lives in cities like Chicago, New York, St. Louis, and even quite frankly, here in the Midwest, a bigger city like Omaha, you are going to have more transportation options. The public transit's probably going to at least be a little better than in other areas and smaller towns, but for sure the rural communities have a really big challenge. We have NFB members all across the state, but you get out west to the Panhandle, and that becomes a really big issue because you have a lot of these small towns that don't have these public transit.
Right.
And so for them to convene, in person becomes really challenging. So one thing we have done with the Nebraska affiliate is we are working on starting what's called an at-large chapter, where you would meet via phone. So people could call in and, no matter where you are across the state, and then you can kind of, be hooked up to what's happening with the NFB and anything else we discuss. You don't have to feel so isolated. So that is a challenge, I think, for a lot of states because most states do have the bigger cities that it's not as much of an issue, but then you have the smaller towns and the rural communities that, do face a bigger challenge when it comes to the transportation. So, for sure.
For sure. I wish there was more, I could wave my magic wand and fix that.
Yes.
But it's extremely frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
And even from an employment standpoint, having Ryan work here, there's days when we had one day last week where the weather was bad and
exactly.
And fortunately, I was able to pick him up, but that isn't always possible depending on my schedule and his schedule. And plus, he doesn't want to have to rely on somebody else to get him to work.
Yeah.
He should be able to do that on his own. So I hear about that frustrations. Heard it before with Paul, our previous station manager. And I have a son that is legally blind, and he works, and he actually walks a mile to work.
Oh, wow.
He has somebody picking him up now in the bad weather, and every mother out there would share the same fear that I have. He walks down the median on 72nd Street for a mile.
Lovely.
Yeah, and it's like, So anyway, I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
But it's very personal for me as well, and if there's anything we can do, we'll definitely try to help in that regard. Where did you go to high school, Bridgit?
I went to Omaha South. Go Packers!
Yes. Okay, cool. Since you're from Omaha, and there's so many people that we have in that area too, I know they'd like to know all those little tidbits.
Yes. Hello, Southo.
Hello, Southo. Yeah, for sure. So, how did you get interested in theater? If that was your first love?
Yes. I mean, I came out of the womb singing and dancing, and I mean, it was ridiculous. So my mother was a dancer. She taught dance for years, had her own studio, and I have an uncle who was very much into performing. He attended the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and he was actually a broadcast journalism major, but he did every summer, he went and worked at Worlds of Fun, doing the theater shows there, and then I can't remember, probably after college, he moved to New York, and he's actually done some Broadway touring productions.
Wow.
And so, he really got into it, and he lives in Florida now, and he does a lot of local community theater there in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. I think they just did Evita a couple of months ago.
Oh, wow.
So he was in that. Yeah. So he was my idol growing up. I wanted to be like Uncle Brent and wanted to do the whole performing thing, and I just was drawn to it. I loved it. I love being the center of attention. attention. I think my earliest memory really of when it hit me like I need to do this, I was in a production of The Nutcracker, and I was 4 or 5 maybe, and I was an elf. There were these little girls. We were all these little elves, and we had this part where we would walk out onto the stage with Clara, and then we'd walk back to the wings, and then we'd walk back out, and I got to hold her hand. Yeah. And I just thought I was the coolest thing because I was holding Clara's hand. So, but I just knew like I loved being on stage. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And in junior high and high school, I really got into doing theater and music. I was in choir, did all the shows, and I started doing community theater in Omaha as well. Mm-hmm. And I just loved it. You know, it just really, I was just drawn to it. And so, yeah, that was always, my goal was I was going to study that in school and then move to New York and, try the whole dream. And, life took a little bit of a different direction, and which happens. Yes. But it's still in my blood. I have a musical family. My father, he works at a church. He's a minister, but he also does the worship for services. My brother's a musician, and I didn't quite get the instrument gene. They can pick up any instrument and play it. I mean, literally any instrument and just take to it right away. But yeah, I don't know. It's my family's just always been very creative. When my husband first met my family, we had a sing-along. Dad pulled out the guitar and, we become the Von Trapps and we're singing, and he was like, what is happening? So, I just kind of grew up around that. It was, the creative outlet was just always kind of in the blood. So, that it just kind of was very natural for me to want to be a part of that world.
So does your husband sing?
He's out there. He's going to cringe about this. He was in show choir, and he can do amazing jazz hands. So. Oh. He can carry a tune. Sure. He's not bad. Cool. He's not bad.
Were you in show choir?
I was.
You were? Okay.
I was, yes.
I had 2 kids in show choir, too. They put on such fabulous shows.
What school?
Actually, it was over in Iowa.
Okay.
Audubon.
Okay.
Where did your family live in Iowa?
Council Bluffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know where Audubon is.
And,
yeah. Cool. There's not that much separating us, really. It's just that skinny river.
Exactly.
Muddy, skinny river.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So you're a stay-at-home mom now.
Yes.
But you've done some fabulous things in the past. Since you've been married, so let's concentrate on that time frame, because that also coincided when you lost your vision. Yeah. Do you do anything within the theater community? Are you able to?
Are there openings? For years. I don't really, people ask me that all the time. I said, I need to stop telling people I have a vocal performance degree because they're like, oh, sing. But, I really, I've done a few things like with my dad at church, singing, but I haven't really gotten involved in theater. But I have a friend, so my MFA program, you can do prose writing, poetry, or playwriting. And I have a friend who's in the playwriting track, and she wants to start a theater troupe, and she's like, hey, you want to be a part of it? And I said, sure. So we'll see where that leads. But I always have that kind of drive for creativity and some sort of creative outlet, which writing provides. But there is something about being on a stage that for those who get it, you just kind of know. You just feel at home. So and hopefully too. I mean, my kids are very young right now, so that makes things challenging. Doing things sometimes. But hopefully as they get a little older, maybe it's something I can get back into. And my 1-year-old loves music. He likes to dance, and he loves it. And when I sing, he will sing back to me. So maybe he will be my little musical baby that likes to do all those things with me.
That would be good. What do you want to do with your writing degree then?
That's another question people always ask. The program, first and foremost, is to really help those who are writers polish their writing, to really work on that skill. Of course I want to write, books and be published. that, I've had a few small publications, short pieces, but and I actually just had an anthology, except 2 essays called "Misbehaving Nebraskans" is the name of the anthology. But I would like to get my work out there a little bit more. But maybe something teaching at the collegiate level, possibly English or writing. That's something I can see myself doing. But I also really enjoy editing. So maybe I've done some volunteer editing for publications, and so that's something I also am interested in and could see myself going into. So there's a lot of things I enjoy and would like to do. We'll just kind of see what opportunities present themselves. As I complete my program.
Well, and you have so many talents, and so if you just follow up on the things you love to do, you'll find something. Talk with your accent a little bit. That was fun when we did that off air.
Oh my goodness! Right. Okay. So I was asking my husband if I could talk with my British accent today, and he said, "Sure, go ahead if you really want to. People will think you're crazy, but you know."
I don't think they'll think you're crazy. They'll think, oh my gosh, she can talk like a British person.
I do it at home all the time. I do different accents, and I pick them up easily. So if I'm around somebody, I'm actually taking a class this semester at UNO with a lady from New Zealand, and every time I'm with her, I have to be careful because I want to start talking like her. And it's bad. And I don't even know I'm always doing it. I just go into it, and, my husband will also be like, why are you talking like that? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you have an accent. And I'm like, let's see.
Do you do any characters?
Not really. Don't really do characters.
Okay, how about when you read? Well, do you tell stories? I'm sure you tell stories to your sons.
We do. It's cute because it actually tends to be my husband more than me. Okay. But yeah, my 5-year-old at night likes to. It's like an improv exercise or something. He'll throw out I want a story about this, and then we kind of have to on the fly make up a story. Sometimes it's like a fairy tale or something, but sometimes he's like, I want a story about a dog in a fire truck, and it's like, okay. So I actually told my husband, I said, we need to write these down, and we can publish a kid's book, call it Ross's Fairy Tales or something. But we do like to tell stories to the kids, and we used to do it with our nephews and nieces when they were younger. They like to they would use our Braille writer, and they didn't really know what they were doing, but they would just type things out, and then they'd hand us the paper and be like, okay, read this. And so then we make up a story.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, we read the Braille like we were actually reading. There was a story there, and so we would try and make something up, and they thought it was so cool, and they're like, I wrote that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So they thought they had written a story.
Yes.
What wonderful imagination.
We try.
Yeah. What kind of articles did you blog about, or topics did you blog about, or what articles did you have? You were part of, was it the Omaha?
I did do Omaha a little bit, but I was hired to do livewellnebraska.com.
Oh, okay.
So my topics that I focused on were diabetes and blindness.
Oh.
I kind of alternated, which one I was talking about. Obviously sometimes they crossed. I'd talk about, anything from my personal experience to things going on in those various communities. My style was a little bit more on the creative side as opposed to a journalistic side. So I actually had one of the highest trafficked blogs at the time, which is I'm kind of proud of. So that was
Absolutely.
Cool. But yeah, and I think the first time the Herald published it in the paper, somebody said, oh, I saw your article in the paper. I said, no, you mean the website? And they're like, no, I saw it in the paper. I'm like, no, it's on the website. And then they brought out the paper, and they're like, it's right here. And I was like, my editor didn't tell me that they were going to do that, so it was a surprise. It was a cool surprise.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's wow. So, and they often would take my my blogs and published them in the living section of the Herald. So that was a really cool opportunity, and it was my first time working with an editor, which is a good experience for any writer. But yeah, it was a really great opportunity. It gave me a platform to discuss topics that are important to me, and on top of that, get my writing out there. So
yeah, for sure. Within the NFB, do you have? I'm thinking about like peer support type groups. As a blind couple raising children and all of the things that could entail.
Sure.
Are there such groups out there that you get together like that, or would that be typical of an MNFB meeting?
We do have a big online presence for a lot of support groups, which is. There's pros and cons to things like that. I personally enjoy in-person interactions than I do, online things. But, in this day and age, with people being, spread so far and wide, there obviously is a need for, online options. So we do in the NFB have, we have a lot of what we call divisions. They're different groups of, like special interest within the organization. We do have a blind parent group. Nationally, we do, and we have a listserv. If you go to nfbnet.org, you can actually find a list of all of NFB's listservs that you can sign up for if that's something you're interested in. We have everything from, like I said, blind parents to parents of blind and visually impaired children, car enthusiast, crafting, a writer's division, performing arts division. We have all sorts of things. Locally, we've kind of been trying to get a blind parent group kind of up and going. I am technically the chair of that group in Nebraska. We do, every year our affiliate has a state convention, and we usually do have a blind parent group meeting at that convention. But right now, that's really the only time that we're getting together in person. But, certainly, and part of my role as that chair is, if you have questions, if you need resources, information, me as well as other people you can reach out to in the organization. And that's one thing I like about the NFB. It's this huge networking system. You're going through something, whether it's parenting, employment, school, personal issues. There's people you can reach out to. And who, from that blind perspective, understand that and can provide a lot of information and resources, to hopefully help you. We do our best locally to provide what support we can in those areas. I actually had a mom I worked with a year, 2 years ago. Her daughter is blind and was in preschool, and they were just having issues with the transportation for her, getting her to and from school. She was getting to school like an hour late. It was ridiculous. And, so I worked with her on, what are her rights as a blind student, what can they expect, what can they demand, people to contact. So that's something we really try and do is to be present and available when people have those concerns and those issues. We do a lot of education, but yeah, we definitely want to be there for our membership and just the blind and visually impaired community at large, to really help people, with whatever they're going through, and if there's something they're trying to achieve, a goal that they want, we want to be there to support them and help them through whatever it is.
Would you give that website again? That link?
Yeah, NFBNET.org.
And that's it?
Yes.
NFBNET.org.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as the parent of a blind son, I need to check that out because other than
we have a
like
student
that,
division. Yeah. So we actually have a local student division as well too. Just FYI.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Are there? I know there's other organizations in the area too. Are there outlets for collaboration on things among all the different organizations?
We haven't really done a lot of collaborating. But we have been trying to maybe do something with Outlook Nebraska. That's something we've kind of, put on our agenda for, maybe trying to do some sort of collaboration with them, seeing what we could partner on them with. We, a couple of years ago, our chapter did a day of non-visual training where we partnered with the commission, the Nebraska Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. It was our members who were providing the instruction, but the commission allowed us to come in and use their facility. And it was just kind of to give people an overview of the non-visual skills like Braille, white cane travel, computer technology, and home management methods. Give them an idea what maybe training would be like, and if this is something they were interested in pursuing, and just give them a little taste of those skills. And we would really like to do another one of those events again. And so we've talked about maybe doing a collaboration with Outlook, but we just, as happens, people are busy, life happens, and so we just haven't really followed through on our contacts. With that, but hopefully this year, we will get that going. But yeah, so I think we are open to collaborating. I mean, certainly, my opinion, we are all maybe have different ways of doing something, but we're all kind of trying to reach the same goals. So I think collaborating on some level is something we really need to pursue.
That would be a good idea. I say this often: we all have more in common than we have differences.
Exactly.
We definitely have differences, and you can name a topic, and people are going to have differences. But oftentimes we have main goals that we have that can form a foundation for moving forward.
Yes.
As you said, to collaborate on a few things. So, is there any other information, Bridgit, about the NFB as far as contact information?
Sure.
That you can give our listeners for those out there that are interested in finding out more?
For the NFB in general, there is nfb.org, which is our national website. For Nebraska, it's ne.nfb.org. For those who have access to computer and internet, you can definitely go to those websites, check things out. Our state website does have information about the chapters that we have in Nebraska, which currently are Omaha, Lincoln, and Columbus.
Okay.
In addition to our student division and senior division. All that information is available on our state website. For the Omaha chapter, we do have a Facebook page, but also you can contact me. My email is bkpollpeter@gmail.com. And my phone number is 402-350-1735. And people can email or call me if they have questions or want to learn more, about our chapter or just the NFB in general.
Okay, good. Do you do anything for the general public, like the sighted folks, as far as educational things for people like me and others out there that maybe have family members or friends and they don't know what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say? Any educational things like that?
We do have literature, first of all, that we can provide for people. And that's also, if anybody's interested, you can go to our national website, and most of that literature you can order for free.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have literature, but also we do try to do activities where we can engage with the public, have those conversations. Our chapter, we've become a little small in the last decade. So, when I first joined our chapter, we had a much larger membership, which gives you more manpower, to do more and bigger activities. So, right now we're kind of rebuilding. But, we that certainly is kind of the number one goal for the NFB is to provide that education and the promotion of what blind people are capable of. And, we say that blindness doesn't have to hold you back. It doesn't have to keep you from achieving your dreams. And, whatever that looks like for you, we really want to provide that education that, for most of us, blindness, can be something that we, can still do, whatever it is we want to do. And so, providing that education, not only to blind people, but just to, our sighted counterparts as well is really important. And it's just crucial as, there's a lot of talk of diversity these days in the media, but one thing you don't hear a lot is disability being included in that. And so I think it's just important, for all of us, but I certainly know within the NFB we really want to get that out there that, hey, we need to be a part of the conversation. We need to be engaged in this as well. We are a active community that is doing all sorts of things, wanting to be involved in all sorts of things, and we need to be at the table for these diversity conversations too. And I think those things take time. As we've seen with other movements, they don't happen overnight.
No.
So we try to do events and activities that, if they don't directly involve the public, at least we're out in the public eye. I always say actions usually speak louder than words. We definitely, we're working on, I had mentioned earlier, our affiliate does a walkathon every year. It's a fundraiser, but we are trying to kind of change it up this year, do something different maybe. We've discussed some ideas, but one thing, those of us who are kind of planning this event, really want to do is make it a much bigger outreach opportunity, something where we are interacting with the public and out in the public eye, and really having that opportunity to engage with, sighted people, and just, make that an opportunity to be approachable and ask those questions. There's always a time and place for asking questions. When somebody's rushing to the bus, maybe that's not the best time to stop them and ask, your questions. But so I think it's important that, we have that presence in the community, because, my opinion is, if you don't ask questions, you're never going to learn.
Right.
And so, that's my goal is to just, keep this education going and really just to get it out there that, we're normal like everybody else,
Yes.
We do, all sorts of things, and blindness doesn't look the same for everybody. We're not all the same, you can't make those generalizations. And so, I just think the more we're out there and living life, the, more, people will be educated.
Are there any details about the walkathon yet that you'd like to share?
Not yet.
Okay.
We have a committee. I am one of the co-chairs on that committee. Like, as I'm talking, I'm realizing I do too much.
It's a good thing you're a stay-at-home mom.
In a way, yes. I have a bit more flexibility than some, but at the same time.
And I'm not implying that you don't do anything.
Right, yes.
I was a stay-at-home mom. It's the hardest job on the planet.
It is, yes. And I have a baby right now who's a barnacle. Like, he just wants to be attached to mommy all the time. So, but yes, we are hopefully within the next month we'll have information forthcoming on that. And again, that's something. Our website, our Facebook page, contact me. Those are all places you can go to keep updated on that information. Our Omaha chapter Facebook page, I manage, and I'm pretty Johnny on the spot, as my husband would say, about keeping information current and updated on there as it becomes available. So unfortunately, I don't have any details about the walk at this point.
Okay.
But we are having a meeting next week, and hopefully the ball will get rolling on that event.
Sure. And for our listeners, if you're interested in that, give Bridgit a call.
Yes.
If you need to. I'll give out your information again, your phone number. Bridgit's phone number is 402-350-1735, or you can contact the local Nebraska chapter at ne.nfb.org for information about the Nebraska chapter. And then Bridget's email is bkpollpeter@gmail.com. So there's several ways to reach out to her if you'd like to learn more about all the activities that she is involved in, or need some information or some support from the NFB. That would be another great resource, and I'm looking forward to checking some of that out because I'm have a lot to learn yet.
I would be remiss if I didn't promote our Bell Academy, which is Braille Enrichment Learning and Literacy, and it's a summer camp for children who are blind and visually impaired, where they can learn Braille and other non-visual skills. And so that will be coming up in June. We don't have specific dates yet, but it will be in June. Okay. I was just thinking about it, I really want to give that a plug, and listeners keep updated on that as well, because that's a really cool program. It runs for 2 weeks. It's a day program. Transportation is provided. There is a registration, but I don't believe there's a cost for students who attend. We really try to subsidize all of that, make it as easy as possible for children who want to attend. It's for, I believe, ages 5 through 12 or 13. So that's another thing I just want to give a quick plug for.
Where is that camp hosted?
The last couple of years has been in Lincoln.
Okay.
I believe it will be in Lincoln again, but our coordinator stepped down this year, and so we are looking for a couple of people to take on that position. It will be in June, but location and specific dates are TBA at this point.
Okay, that's fine. Well, again, it's another fabulous opportunity that people can follow up at all these different places to find out more information about it. So, anything else you'd like to share, Bridget? Our time's about up.
I thank you for this opportunity, and it's really great to get the word out about the NFB, and I also really appreciate learning about RTB.
Yes.
And something that I can be more knowledgeable about and talk to my members and other people I come into contact with. So it's really been a fantastic opportunity, and I think what you guys are doing is really exciting and cool, and I'm really excited about what's going on with RTB and in this community.
Well, good. Thank you very much. Sometime I'd like to come to one of your meetings. I could maybe come and talk about Radio Talking Book.
That would be fantastic.
And share more information. And for those out there that need more information, or if you didn't get Bridget's contact information, you can always call us here at the office as well at 402-572-3003, and we'll be happy to share this information with you. And that is all for Bridget and I today for Community Conversations, so I'll throw it back to Ryan.